guys, it's Miss Karen, the Young Adult Librarian at the Goshen Public Library, back with our 4th edition of 5 on Friday, where I pick 5 books from the YA collection that all relate to a certain theme. And this week's theme is my favorites. So we're doing Karen's picks this week from the YA collection. I picked 5 of my favorites, and I'm going to share them with you in just a minute. Now, if you ask me what my favorite book is any day of the week, I will probably give you a different answer every time, because I have lots and lots of favorites. But the 5 books that I picked to share with you today are real favorites of mine. So I hope that you'll find 1 or maybe 2 or maybe all 5 that you like too and you want to check out. And remember, all of them are available to check out at Goshen. You can put them on hold in the computer, or you can call me, or you can come in and pick them up whenever you want. All right, so let's get started. The first book of my favorites is Graceling by Kristen Cashore. This is the first book in the Graceling series. It's an older book, so let's see. I think it was, let's see when it was published. I'm going to date myself here. It was published in 2008, so it's definitely an older book, but it definitely holds up. It's fantasy, and there are a few more books in the series, so if you like this one, you're going to want to check those out too. So let me tell you what it's about. His eyes. Katza had never seen such eyes. One was silver and the other gold. They glowed in his sun-darkened face, uneven and strange. She was surprised that they hadn't shone in the darkness of their first meeting. They didn't seem human. Then he raised his eyebrows a hair, and his mouth shifted into the hint of a smirk. He nodded at her, just barely, and it released her from her spell. Cocky, she thought. Cocky and arrogant, this one. And that was all there was to make of him. Whatever game he was playing, if he expected her to join him, he would be disappointed. In a world where people born with an extreme skill called a grace are feared and exploited, Katza carries the burden of a skill even she despises, the grace of killing. She lives under the command of her uncle Randa, king of the Midlands, and is expected to execute his dirty work, punishing and torturing anyone who displeases him. When she first meets Prince Po, who is graced with combat skills, Katza has no hint of how her life is about to change. She never expects to become Po's friend. She never expects to learn a new truth about her own grace, or about a terrible secret that lies hidden far away, a secret that could destroy all 7 kingdoms with words alone. So that is Graceling by Kristen Cashore, and it is one of my top 5 favorites. It's fantasy. There's definitely some romance. And yeah, I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, all right. My next pick for you is Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers. Grave Mercy is the first book in the His Fair Assassins series. There are 3 books in the His Fair Assassin series, and then it branches off to another subsequent series. But if you like it, you definitely want to check out the rest. And His Fair Assassin is historical fantasy, pretty much. So it's definitely historical. It's set in 15th century Brittany. But there is definitely a fantasy element to it. So in 15th century Brittany, Ismay escapes from the brutality of an arranged marriage to the convent of Saint Mortaine, where the sisters will serve the gods of old. Here she learns that she has been sired by the god of death himself and will be trained in his arts. Ismay's most important assignment takes her to the high court of Brittany, where deadly games of intrigue and treason create impossible choices. How can she deliver death's vengeance upon a target who against her will has stolen her heart? The first book in the tantalizing His Fair Assassin trilogy introduces a darkly imagined world that combines romance and captivating action. So His Fair Assassin, the series, Grave Mercy specifically, is about women who are trained to be assassins because they were sired by the god of death, or the saint of death, I guess, Saint Death. And it's all about their training and their completing their missions. Each book in the series focuses on a different girl. So, and the stories sort of intertwine after a while, but each book has a different main focused character. Grave Mercy is May's story. I love these books because they are historical fiction and they have a lot of historical detail, but they also have that fantasy element and a little bit of romance. So it's everything I love all packed into one book. So this is Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers. All right, a little different. My third pick this week is called One Way or Another, and it is by Kara McDowell, and it is a new book. It was published in 2020. So, and it's not historical, it's not it's kind of fantasy, I guess, but not traditional fantasy. So One Way or Another explores what happens in different choices. So the main character makes one choice and goes down one path, or she makes another choice and goes down a different path, and it kind of shows you what would happen either way. So it's fun. Let's see. The average person makes 35,000 decisions every single day. That's about 34,999 too many for Paige Collins, who lives in debilitating fear of making the wrong choice. The simple act of picking an art elective is enough to send her into a spiral of what-ifs. What if she's destined to be a famous ceramicist, but wastes her talent in drama club? What if there's a carbon monoxide leak in the ceramic studio and everyone drops dead? Grim, but possible. That's why when Paige is presented with two last-minute options for Christmas vacation, she's paralyzed by indecision. Should she go with her best friend and longtime crush, Fitz, to his family's romantic mountain cabin, or should she accompany her mom to New York, a city Paige has spent her whole life dreaming about? Just when it seems like Paige will crack from the pressure of choosing, fate steps in the form of a slippery grocery store floor, and Paige's life splits into two very different parallel paths. One path leads to New York, where Paige falls for the city and the charms of her unexpected tour guide. The other leads to the mountains, where Paige might finally get her chance with Fitz, until her anxiety threatens to ruin everything. But before Paige gets her happy ending in either destiny, she'll have to face the truth about her struggle with anxiety, and learn that you don't have to be perfect to deserve true love. So this book has romance. It also deals with some mental health stuff about anxiety and that sort of thing. It's also funny and relatable, and yeah, I just really loved it. So One Way or Another by Kara McDowell. All right, my fourth choice goes back a ways. This book was published quite a few years ago. It's called Revolution by Jennifer Donnelly. It is historical fiction. Let me just see when the publication date was, because this is definitely an older book. So this one's 2010, and it is, like I said, historical. There is a bit of a fantastic fantasy element in it, so it's not just straight historical fiction. Brooklyn. Andy Alpers is on the edge. She's angry at her father for leaving, angry at her mother for not being able to cope, and heartbroken by the loss of her younger brother, Truman. Rage and grief are destroying her, and she's about to be expelled from Brooklyn Heights' most prestigious private school when her father intervenes. Now Andy must accompany him to Paris for winter break. Paris. Alexandrine Paradis lived over 2 centuries ago. She's dreamed of making her mark on the Paris stage, but a fateful encounter with a doomed Prince of France cast her in a tragic role she didn't want and couldn't escape. 2 girls, 2 centuries apart, one never knowing the other. But when Andy finds Alexandrine's diary, she recognizes something in her words and is moved to the point of obsession. There's comfort and distraction for Andy in the journal's antique pages, until, on a midnight journey through the catacombs of Paris, Alexandrine's words transcend paper and time, and the past becomes suddenly terrifyingly present. Revolution spans centuries and vividly depicts the eternal struggles of the human heart. So, Revolution has a present storyline and a past storyline. The past storyline is set during the French Revolution, and at some point in the book, they intertwine. So, if you'd like historical fiction, There's definitely some romance, but there's a lot of really interesting history in this one too. And I just love the way Jennifer Donnelly writes. So reading anything by her is always a pleasure for me. So this is Revolution by Jennifer Donnelly. And my fifth pick today is called Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Heartless is a standalone. It's fantasy. And it is the true story, or backstory, I guess I should say, of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. So, let's see. Catherine may be one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and a favorite of the unmarried king, but her interests lie elsewhere. A talented baker, she wants to open a shop and create delectable pastries. But for her mother, such a goal is unthinkable for a woman who could be queen. At a royal ball, where Kath is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, she meets handsome and mysterious Jest. For the first time, she feels the pull of true attraction. At the risk of offending the king and infuriating her parents, she and Jest enter into a secret courtship. Kath is determined to choose her own destiny, but in a land thriving with magic, madness, and monsters, fate has other plans. So Kath, if you haven't guessed, is the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, and that's before she became the Queen of Hearts. And the story Heartless tells how she got to be the Queen of Hearts. It is a really, really good read, and I loved it very much, but I'm going to give it to you with a warning that the ending is not happy. It does not have a happy ending. It is a standalone. This is the only one, so you don't have to read another one after this. But if you know the Queen of Hearts, you know that her story is not a happy one, and so the ending of this book is not a happy one. So if you're looking for a happily ever after fairy tale book, this is not it. But if you love Alice in Wonderland, or you just love fairy tales, or you just love stories like that, it's a great, great read. So I highly recommend Heartless by Marissa Meyer, but not if you're looking for a happy ending. This is not the book. All right. So those are my 5 picks. Heartless, Revolution, One Way or Another, Grave Mercy, and Graceling. So I hope that you found something that sounds fun and interesting to you. And if you couldn't tell, I really like fantasy and romance in my books. I also like mystery and all sorts of other things. And I also like historical. Yeah, I like pretty much everything. But these are my 5 picks, my 5 favorites, at least today. So let me know if you read any of them. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorites are. I'd love to hear them. And if you want me to feature your 5 favorites, let me know, and I will definitely do that. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the nice weather. See you soon.